What's up, everybody? It's your girl Sequoia Blue. We're back in here with another episode on this beautiful Friday out here in Vegas. And our special guest today is Mike and Tim, creators of Planeta Blu. And it is a very interesting comic book. And I want to know, how did you come up with this cool idea? I mean, the spiritual cool idea.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having us. The idea just dropped on my brain, honestly, through telling bedtime stories to my children. I got
Mhm.
kids, and I've always told stories in music form. I'm a hip hop MC and
Mm.
artist in that format. That's kind of like my main kind of passion. However, like most parents, I would read books to them, and sometimes they want some just freestyled off the top of my mind. And so I just started telling my kids these stories. And this story, for whatever reason, didn't just stay in the bedtime hours. It kind of kept going, and during the days, and found myself the next day telling more of it, and then eventually like talking about it. My kids were very much interested in
Wow.
it and what was happening to the characters. And so I was like, man, maybe I should just write this down.
Mm.
This is pre Black Panther, and this is pre Moana. So I knew and I wanted
Mhm.
my kids to have stories of superheroes, of
Mhm.
heroes and sheroes that would look like them, to put it
Yeah.
bluntly, and
Mhm.
because that didn't exist at the time that I started writing this. And so it's taken me 5 years to write. It also
Wow.
was very close to my heart, and as far as passion,
Mm.
surrounding the environment, which is very important to me as a father who
Yeah.
wants to see his children, his seeds blossom someday and be able to have a world that looks like ours, and ideally better, right? That's what every parent.
Mhm.
But and so I've always done music and art that reflects what's happening in society, and that's where the idea came from.
I love that. And what do you hope that the children can learn from this? And like, what are your hopes of that?
Yeah, I hope they're inspired. I hope that when they
Yeah.
see this, first they see themselves in the
Mhm.
highest light, the highest vibration. Young
Mhm.
people with all the talent and creativity and passion and heart to be able to take on this huge challenge that in our book, Planeta Blue, Rise of Agu, it's an oil
Mhm.
tycoon billionaire turned world conqueror. And so they
Mm.
have to really fight for their lives and for
Yeah.
each other and the planet. And so it's very much similar to what's happening now. To be honest with you, this is more
Mm.
fantastic. This is more Afrofuturist. And for those that ain't familiar with the Afrofuturism term, it's a sci-fi term that in the future we see ourselves as Black people, not just as like side characters or how Hollywood used to see us, you know what I mean, as
Mhm. Mhm.
villains, or just like laughing stock type, but the main characters, masters of their
Yeah.
own destiny, you know what I mean. And
I
so I
love that.
I want the children to see the youth. It's a YA book, so it's a young adult book. So we don't hold too many punches, although we don't have too much violence, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does dive deep into, like the
Yeah.
beginning of the book. I'm not gonna tell the story, but I was like, yo, because I think sometimes reality needs to be said, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think they need to see the truth. So to me, I was like, they need to see that this is real and some of this stuff can happen in real life. And
Yeah.
I believe in spiritual and ancestral stuff like that, because you don't know, your ancestors could be trying to help you. And in the
Mhm.
book, that's what I got, in the part when they get deep down into the ocean and get dragged down by I think it was the dolphin or the shark,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah, the
get
dolphins.
and they
Yeah.
said, we're going to see the council. And I said, okay, this is interesting. I said, this is what's needed. Do you see this being like a film or like a series?
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. And what's
Yeah.
what's awesome is, I got this amazing illustrator besides me, Mike LaRiccia.
Yes.
He actually did a trailer that was animated, and so we're both like comic book guys. We're more animation guys. We grew up watching
Mhm.
this type of genre, but not. I never thought, to be honest, for me. that I was gonna write a book. I did think I was gonna be an animator, Mike. I gotta admit that was one of my dreams for a short period of time. But yeah, we want to see this as a series, either on like Netflix, Disney Plus, or Hulu, whatever. You know, we're like universe. We're open to this. We want to see it as a movie. You know what I mean? Multiple different movies, because it's a huge arc. You know what I mean? This book itself has its own story, right? It has its own kind of arc in itself. It ends, but then there's kind of like it leaves it open for part 2, 3, and 4, to be honest, because I mapped this whole thing out. So it's
I was about to ask you that. Is there gonna be a part 2 and it's gonna keep going? Because that's gonna blow up.
Because you know what's interesting, what you said, Sequoia, is that, you know, not only like, hey, you know, here's me, just an average person, like everybody listening to this or watching this, and I'm like doing what most dads do, tell the story, but the story was just going through me, to be honest with you. Like I felt like I was channeling it, you know what I mean? And people,
so I was about to ask you that. Did you feel like you were spiritually led? Like it was like you finished it and then you were like, dang, I wrote that. Like sometimes that's how that happens to me. So like I feel like that could happen to a lot of other people.
Yeah, and I'm getting goosebumps you just saying it, because I not in every interview do I mention that, because I don't want people to be like, yeah, okay, you know what I mean? Because people, you know, when you talk spirituality, some people, they ain't ready to receive it, they don't want to hear it, and for most time, I'm like, you don't have to, because you're having a spiritual experience whether you know it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we are.
This is what's happening. You know what I mean? And so for me to just close my eyes and be like, okay, so then what happened? You know what I mean? And just let the source, I call it the source, let source just be like, this is what happened, and then this is what happened, and this is what happened. And to, as you know, and to know that my journey as an MC, as a rapper, like I just wanted to keep spitting, you know what I'm saying? And just going up on stage, it's hella fun. That's what I want to do. But the story kept being like, knock, knock, knock. Like, come on, like.
Yeah, that means you have to get it out there.
Yeah, and I had to
that's
pause.
So cool.
I had to pause my music for a little bit and just focus and just bang it
so
out.
How did you get your mind ready to receive from, you know, your ancestors or the source? Like, how did you get your mind like, let me listen? Like, how did you know?
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, hey, I never said this, Mike. You're getting some exclusives tonight, because we've been doing these interviews, and
I know it.
I love these questions. I'm an activist, right? I'm a survivor of police attacks. Like I got attacked by the cops and I survived. Before Black, you know, lives matter. My life mattered, my people. You know what I'm saying? And so, luckily there's people in this world that see activists, and they had a retreat. They're like, you know, someone referred me as a community activist. Hey, you should go on this retreat. I went up to Vermont, Knoll Farm, and these people had little yurts. And they had meals, and it was all people, you know, like ex-Black Panthers, and serious people that are just over there, like needing a break, because they realize, like, man, it's hot out here, especially if you care.
Yeah.
Especially if you're out there in the front lines, you know what I mean, speaking truth to power. Like they'll try to take you out, and that's what
I know it's crazy out here. I'm like, people better be careful what they're saying in our community, because there's people getting taken out. Like Brother Panic, I don't even know what happened with him, but it's a lot of people that's spreading like information is being taken out. I'm like, I was like, you got to be careful who you're hanging around, what you're eating. I mean, that's
one of my mentors, I'm from New Bedford, Massachusetts originally, you know, the home, where Frederick Douglass went after, you know, we had a Black Panther chapter. So we knew, I always knew about my history, like very revolutionary, always for love, always for peace, always for justice. That's the movement from jump. That's what my music is about. And also now here we go. So one of my teachers, listen to this, is Isel Blair. He's one of the Greensboro Four. He's one of the four gentlemen who sat at the counter in North Carolina and were part of starting and kicking off the civil rights movement. You know what I mean? College student, sat there, challenged segregation. So he, you know, was one of my teachers. So we knew this, and we were proud of it. You know what I mean? I went to the school, the academy, all this stuff. Anyway, he told me one day after being assaulted by police, he's like, listen, you know, because I just thought it was like a random black man just doing his thing, gets assaulted by police. He's like, they were looking for you that night. Like, don't sleep. They were looking for you that night, and they try to take you out. You know what I mean? And I'm
Dang.
still kind of like, come on, Jabril, like that. He changed
Yeah.
Jabril Kazan, right? That's his name currently. I was like, come
Hmm.
on, Easy. He likes to be called Easy. I was like, come on, Easy. Like, it's me, Tem Blessed. Like, I ain't that important. They ain't trying to assassinate me. I ain't too
Hey, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. You don't got to be Jay-Z. Like, they are looking for anybody that is making some noise.
They're looking for the Messiah, is what I found out. And I ain't the Messiah. Don't get it to it. I ain't trying to. we are. You the Messiah. You the Messiah. You know what I mean? They're looking for the consciousness.
If we all tap in.
They're looking They're looking for the consciousness, the Christ consciousness, if you will. The you know what I mean? If you're on. Yeah. So he tells me this, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, thank you. You know, not whatever. Like, thank you because y'all my elder.
Yeah.
I respect you. You know what I mean? And then he gives me a book called Taming the Tiger Within, which is written by Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh is a Buddhist Buddhist monk who was actually recommended for the Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King. And guess what? He didn't get it because he's that real. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Obama got it. Nothing against Obama, but come on, you can't be dropping drones on people's heads and get the Nobel Peace Prize. Come on. Like,
yeah.
Who are we gonna give it next? Netanyahu? Come on. I'm sorry. I don't really.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
I gotta check that book out though. Because that sounds interesting. Because I'm getting back into my reading space, and I try to tell the people start really reading in between the lines, because that's where they're gonna hide is in the books and papers. So
yeah,
that's important.
So I was up in Vermont. They provided the space. I finally sat down, Sequoia, and I was like, I've been meaning to write this thing. Let me start. Oh my God, it was like water. You know what I mean?
Man.
I was like. And I was just like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, this is just, it feels so good. It's like writing a rap that I was meant to write, you know what I mean? Not forcing it, like, oh, now what happened? Like, it just flowed through me, and that started the journey. That's how I got into it. So then I realized I just had to seclude myself. So I've rented hotels, Airbnbs, gone to the library for a few hours just to finish the book. And that's how I was able to get through it, to just commit to it and say, hey wife, I gotta go, kids, I'll see you in a couple hours.
And it's good that she understands, you know, because sometimes somebody can be with someone that don't understand why, you know, that you sometimes have to tap in and zone out. Like, that's good that you have that support system. And how did you find Mike to be able to do the illustrations? Like, illustrations are the bomb. I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like, man, like, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, he had the book written, and he had a friend who happened to be my neighbor at the time. So, and the funny thing is, like, I only had one neighbor, so she was the only. I had this neighbor, and then it was the street next to me. So my only neighbor I had, and she's like, I know this guy. He's my neighbor.
Talk about spirit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was. And I
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, and she talked to Tim, and then she said, "Hey, my friend Tim has the book. He's looking for an illustrator." And I sort of just politely said, "Oh, I guess I'll meet with him, you know, because my neighbor, do her a solid and just meet this random guy."
Yeah, because we both, you know, you get someone like, you know, she's coming to him like, "I know someone who wrote a book." He's like, "Yeah, I know so many people who wrote books." Or like, "Hey, same thing to me." Like, "Hey, I know an artist who could probably write," and I'm like, "Come on, never," you know what I mean? Like, okay, like, do you have something that he, you know, can you show me something? Like, here's his website. Blown away by his work, you know, as you just mentioned. Go ahead, Mike.
But no, I mean, he was you know, enthusiastic about meeting, and so he came over, and you know, I was always get kind of reluctant on taking on certain jobs when you work, because people tend to come at you with a lot of enthusiasm, but they don't really know the steps into making this thing happen, and then you start taking on that in addition to the work you have to do. So I was very cautious about, like, okay, let me sort of size this guy up and see what his deal is. But he came in, and we hit it off immediately, and you know, I was sold on the story. I could tell it was something kind of different and unusual, and that's something that I look for whenever I'm doing any work, is like, am I doing something that people haven't seen before? Is it, you know, I'm trying to stay away from anything that's super derivative of what's common, you know, because this was clearly like a work of art for him. It wasn't like, I'm just writing this book because I think it will sell. It was like, this is something I was inspired to do. It's authentic. And that came across immediately. So during that first meeting, I sort of said, okay, why don't I do some like test pages and a cover draft and some concept art, and let's see how that works. Let's see how we work together. And hope for the best, basically. It worked out really well. Like it was easy to work together. He really respected my vision in terms of interpreting the written word.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, because when I read it, for me it was sort of, I didn't say that this to you, but it was very clear like how I wanted to see it done. Because there's a lot of either the animals play a big role in the story, but they speak to these kids. So
I like that.
Whenever you have the concept of talking animals, it brings a lot of baggage with it, and you don't want that to distract I always say we don't want the people to think like these animals are going to break out into song and start like leading the kids around,
saying a musical, kids.
And like there's real stakes here, there's real risk involved in the story. So the idea was, well, let's make the animals have some realism to them, but still give them enough style that I could show expression and sort of gesture and the movements and stuff, so that the viewer buys into the fact that there's some seriousness to the story. And you don't get the fact that they can talk isn't like, oh, there's a talking frog, like I can't get past this. So I feel like it works in the sense that you sort of buy into this concept that they can speak to the animals early on, and you're kind of brought into that world, and I feel like it makes sense, visually.
It does,
conceptually. So
it does.
Topic there.
No, keep going, because I like it. I like to know the process, because someone that is someone of color that is intimidated needs to know, how does this work? How can I express this to an illustrator? How can an illustrator give me what I want? So they need to know this process, because when I first wrote my children's book, Sammy Bean, I had to figure out how to say it to the illustrator. And I found a good illustrator, and he was able to understand what I wanted. I wanted boondock style, and I wanted their hair like the Boondocks, and that's what I wanted, and I was so scared of it. And I still, now I'm older, I feel like I can redo something and make it better. But that's very important. And what?
I'm sorry, I was just gonna add, it's so important because you brought up process. For me as a musician, I have a band, and I've worked with so many talented players, right? Amazing keyboardists, amazing drummers, whatever, singers, but there's so much talent out there, but not all of them are quality human beings. Mike's principles, his values matched mine, right? And that was what was important. If Mike could have been the greatest artist in the world, which he is, but if he was an a-hole, what I'm saying? If he was just a jerk, let's say maybe he was racist. Sorry, we ain't working.
I know that's right.
This ain't gonna work. I'm saying? No, this ain't gonna work. I'm saying? For real, I'm saying?
Because you can't mess up the energy of the book, because the energy is coming through the book. When I read a book, I feel the energy. And I read, 32 pages, I can feel the energy from the book. I was like, yo, okay, I can see this on Netflix right now, and playing, and adults will sit down, have some popcorn, and watch it, because it's that good, And I think, and then also they're going to start thinking. It can make people think. Even adults think about their spiritual lineage and their ancestors, and make them think this is, make them go, and that's important. That's what art is to make people think, to change the world.
What I do like about what Tem wrote is that I feel like even people who don't have a serious spiritual grounding, they can read the book and sort of, when they're immersed in the story, kind of be open to the concept of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not forced down your throat, but it's sort of reading the story. I'm kind of comfortable seeing how this could be something, and I think that can be sort of inspiring to people, especially young people, to say, maybe you don't know everything. Maybe there's a lot more underneath, under the hood here. And we're kind of doing that.
Yeah, and a lot of people have already connected to, whether it's through the zodiac or through, you know, the Chinese, like they've said like, oh, I was born year of the tiger, or I was, you know, I'm an Aquarius, I'm, you know, a ram, whatever. So people are spirit animals, you know, like what people kind of connect to, like what is my, you know, spirit guide telling me or whatever. So there's I think a consciousness and awareness, but on a basic level, pet lovers or anybody who has looked in the eyes of a horse or a dog or a cat, you can see something looking back, right? It's not like I'm looking at stone, you know what I mean, or an object, even though, you know, we can even go deeper if on some quantum level if we needed to, but just
quantum physics.
Quantum physics. Just as an example, a dolphin, we already know how smart those things are, or whales. So like, why do we treat these animals the way we do? You know, if we were to find any of these animals, insects included, on Mars, we would probably spend the next whatever years trying to talk to this thing, right? We would be like, intelligent being, you know what I mean? Or not, to be honest with you, because, you know what I'm saying? These some people they're just like, let's take it, you know. But like, you know, the problem we have here on Earth, right? It's like, what they do? Clothe us? Let's take their fur. Well, let's eat them, which is sad. But at the end of the day, I wanted people to think about that. When, like, once these animals are talking, you have to respect them, because guess what? They're saying very intelligent, meaningful, profound and powerful things that we all know. We know what we're doing to this planet, right? And so these kids that I wrote in the book, you see them in the back, the 4 of them, they're based off of actual people too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
beautiful. Wow.
Laris, you know, her name, the names have changed to protect the innocent. You know what I'm saying? You know,
beautiful cover. Yeah,
thank you. Mike did a great job. And this was the you know, the original one. So this is the collector's item. It's going for $19.99. No, it's not. We ain't selling these no more. We sold out of these. This is like original stuff. Yeah. But so we have that, you know, this was the Kickstarter version, and then we got signed by Dark Horse for them.
That was released November 21st. So
November 21st.
Oh wow, congratulations.
Yeah. So that's out there, but to not lose the point, like these kids, as a youth worker, as a youth advocate, along with being MC, you know what I mean? And I know there's a lot of me's out there, y'all. So if y'all me, go get this book, because
please go get it.
I wrote it for the Jaylees or the Larises of the world. I want kids to see themselves, but most importantly, the opening scene of them in the beach in New Bedford, my hometown, is right out of Youth Build, A Day in the Life of Youth Build, which is a national organization. So Youth Build, you know what this is like, where these kids are regular kids, man. They're beautiful. They're having just a regular day, regular experience. And then they're talking to animals that are like trying to put them on trial. You know what I'm saying?
I was like, they going to the council. What's about to happen?
For things they haven't even done. It's not their fault. You know what I'm saying? But just like now, right? And then so they go off on this adventure, and we think that not only if you're youth or you have a youthful spirit, or if you just like beautiful stories and art, you'll love them. You'll love this right here.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get my copy, because I definitely have to have it in my hand. I gotta put it on the table so everybody can see it, because that's important. Now the process for the Kickstarter process, how did you guys come up with, I guess, getting people involved with this project? Like, how was that process?
With the original Kickstarter?
Yeah, the Kickstarter, yeah.
Well, after we had gone through the process of doing the sample pages and things like that, you know, it was at that point we said, well, we want, you know, Tem was like really enthusiastic about, let's make the book, let's do this. And so we kind of had discussions about, okay, we could make a book and pitch it to a publisher, or we could try to fund it ourselves with a crowdfunding campaign. And I was sort of familiar with Kickstarter because I had been involved with a couple. There were tabletop games that I did art for. So those companies, they ran the Kickstarters, and they did a really successful one that made like 60 grand or something. So I was able to kind of see how they did that. And I said, this is a really safe way to put out a product because we don't have to take on all the money to mass produce this thing, thinking in trying to figure out how to get it out to people. With the crowdfunding, you have people who've already pledged to support you, and you've built an audience there. So once we decided that we were going to do that,
and actually before you go that route, just because I know you have an audience that some of the steps, and that's really smart for folks that for a lot of folks. For me, I also come from a large family, you know what I mean? And they've been on the journey with me. And I told them like, hey, and I had already been like telling the story, at like conferences, the Harriet Tubman Healthy Living Conference, and the kids were excited about it. Right? And so my older sister, my older brother, we're a tight-knit family. So I already had investors, right? Starting with myself, right? I'm like,
I guess.
Right. I'm gonna put up the bread, right? Just to be real, to be 100 folk. You gotta invest in yourself. And I've never,
that's a fact.
I've invested myself, I've never regretted it. Never. So I put up the bread. I also got family members, and I knew they were my first backers, and I had to pitch this with them, right? And I had my sons alongside me, pitching to them, like, we had a presentation. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do a Kickstarter. Like we, after talking, we're gonna do a Kickstarter. So some people already were pledging before we even went that route. And then, as Mike and I were talking, I don't know if you were going this way as far as setting up the Kickstarter too.
There was this concept of like, what's the end date on this thing? Like, when are we going to actually finish this book? You have to think about incentives for people to want to, pledge at high levels. And, and a lot of this, long story short, I look at campaigns that were successful and see what they did. And it's not a
look at ours if you want.
No, I mean, it's just like,
I'm about to say, because this campaign can be confusing, because it's like, what do I give somebody? What do I do? So it's you got to definitely have to have something to model after.
There's that prep work that you have to do. We didn't just say like, hey, we should do a Kickstarter the next day, just be like, hey guys, we're doing a Kickstarter, you guys should like our stuff. It's a process, and not to dissuade anyone, because it can be done. If I could do it, you could do it. If Mike can do it, you could do it. Is the message? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. If you want it bad enough, you'll get it done. I say, if you want it bad,
if Mike can do it, you can do it. No, I started myself.
What did I say?
No, I'm just saying, like, you have to give yourself a runway before you launch. Get your assets together. Mike was making some dope.
Let me just add, because one of the biggest things that people don't know, and you find out immediately, is that once you start that campaign, for the next 30 days, you have to put as much time as you can and hustle. Because it's not like people think, well, you put it on Kickstarter, people will just see
and
it.
it's over,
or that's how you're going to get people to it. That's actually not true, unless you're lucky and
unless your name is Keanu Reeves. Because
there we go.
Is Keanu Reeves, and his was like
$2 million.
Oh man.
And we're like,
dang.
Yo, and sidebar real quick, and this is one of the feedback. Kickstarter was awesome, but when there was 5 days left on my campaign and 5 days left on Keanu Reeves that already had 2 million, guess who they were pushing on the platform? Support Keanu Reeves, because he already made 2 million.
Oh gosh!
Like, can I get some love here? The small guy, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's just a side note.
Wow.
There's
no
bitterness. Actually, I love Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, and I love Keanu Reeves.
Me too.
John Wick,
The Matrix
come on.
is it. And John Wick.
We love Keanu Reeves.
Matt Pin is the guy who wrote that book too. So it's actually not a we're not talking about the creative side of it. But
no shade on this. It's a platform. It's a shade on the platform. I'll be honest. I'll keep it real.
It's the commercial engine that promotes already successful stuff.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Which which was a taste of what we were sort of like, okay, well, it's good to know that, so other people, that's probably good information for you to know. Like, you're gonna have to hustle, and you're gonna have to just don't relax during that month that you're gonna do.
Yeah, so like you say hustle, you mean people need to go out on the streets and be like, hey, here
Or
I got my
all your
campaign.
social networks, try to find people who are influencers, share it, try to do interviews, try to get reviews, it's like get it out into the world.
Yeah. Start even, you know, everyone got a cell phone. You all got family. Hey, just so you know, this is on, it's live. You can go right here and you could use your debit card, your whatever, you know. So make it easy for people. Remind people. People don't know. Like everyone's busy with their own, you know what I'm saying? And guess what? You might think that just because you sent that one text, hey guys, you got to send another one. There's only 5 days left. Man, we're down to the wire. We got one more day. Let's go, guys. We need your help. We were doing lives. You know what I mean?
I was doing like lives while I was drawing the book too, because it wasn't finished at all. We were just starting it. So there's a lot of like live process stuff, and
we send out emails, blanket emails. Hey, you know, people need those reminders. They need to know. Because if not, you know, I know I've been one of those people. I've gotten something from a cousin or whatever, and I forget. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
you got to keep poking.
That makes sense. Keep poking. And you can't be shy about it.
You can't be shy. Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to believe in it.
You gotta believe in it. Guess what? If you don't believe in it, who else is gonna believe in it?
And if your family don't support you, you still can find some strangers that can support you. So I don't think that's an excuse neither. You know,
exactly.
Strangers love comics.
Man, like, what's your favorite comic book right now? Both of you, what's your favorite right now?
Yeah, I'm reading.
I know Planeta Blu, but
I'm reading Invincible. So Invincible is a show right now that's also on Prime Video, but it's a comic book. Like most things nowadays, they you know, Hollywood is smart. They're really smart. They're like, let's go to the comic books, you know, and there's all these amazing stories, right? But Invincible's about this, you know, this young man who coming of age kind of story, and it's dense. There's like so many comics, and I got hip to it through animation because I love animation, animated show. And so I'm reading that. How about you, Mike?
I mean, I dip my toe in a lot of stuff. I tend to like follow artists rather than series, you know, and I'll pick up stuff from like artists like Trad Moore, and I'm reading a Coda, which is really cool. It's like kind of obscure stuff. So but you know, what I love about Instagram is that I follow all of these artists, and there's a lot of artists who like comics is not their thing, but they'll do like a Kickstarter. Hey, there's this guy named Skinner who's like my hero, who does animation and all stuff, and he's started doing like horror comics on Kickstarter.
Oh, that's interesting. I like horror thriller.
Yeah, so he's bringing his love of that genre with his own style, and so I try to find those kinds of things wherever I can go. But you know, I'm guilty of like jumping back into Wolverine comics and X-Men.
Oh, that's fun too.
Keeping up that stuff. I've been reading some of the Rick and Morty comics too. Which
Rick and Morty! I didn't even watch that on Hulu yet. I actually have to check that out.
Oh yeah, we're big.
Check it out if you can deal with that like that.
Oh, you got the shirt on. Oh my goodness, I got this shirt right here. That's cute. Yeah. So do you guys have a tour coming up for your book? Like, you gotta go from each city to city?
So we are working on that now. We got some advice from, you know, sage advice from how things are changing and rearranging. And people, honestly, we're on a tour right now with you, to be honest with you. They say go on a podcast tour. That's how you really get to the people nowadays. Back in the days, it's more like going into the bookstores. But what we find is that 10 people come out, 15, 20, unless you're like Stephen King, right? Or these big names. Most people, like, they're not really like, reading to the way that you think. Like, you got to find that specific like market. So podcasts is how a lot of people are getting the information. And so we're on the tour right now, you know, but with that being said, if anybody wants to reach out to us, we'll drive down, we'll come down. We got a whole presentation. We don't just do it like
a event that we do.
I'm not gonna be up there like, let me read this. Like we want the youth on stage. We want them to actually voice it. You know what I mean? So we call volunteers up on stage, and you could go on our social media and see how much fun that is to actually hear you know, a woman's voice reading LaRiccia, you know, and not my voice. You know what I mean? Like a young person, you know what I mean? And we try to match it. We bring, you know, the music aspect to it. As an MC, I bring, you know, real MCing, you know what I mean? It's like real lyrics, you know what I mean? To get
I love it.
In that right frame of mind to uplift people, you know what I mean? And so yeah, if anybody wants to hit us up or follow our, you know, planetablu.com whenever we're doing a book signing or a presentation or a you know, like a you know, unveiling whatever at a store, then it'll be up there on Planeta Blu.
Nice. And right now your book is available everywhere. Amazon, you got the website Planeta Blu. It's just everywhere, right? Walmart,
Target. You can, if y'all go to Target, y'all go to Target. If y'all like me that goes to Walmart instead of Target, you know what I'm saying? Go to Walmart.com. Or if you don't mess with Walmart.com because you're like, they don't pay them, whatever, I don't know. Whatever your reasons, it doesn't matter. Go anywhere that they sell books, whether it's Barnes and Noble, whether it's Newberry Comics, Comic Book Shop, Penguin, and Random House. There's no excuse, y'all. Go buy it. And it's like $2 honestly, y'all. The price rate. I was charging more for the original than our publishers for the rebranded extra pages, all that. I'm like, man, that's a steal. Like,
wow.
Yeah, $19.99 for 272 pages.
That's also one.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a good deal.
Yeah, it's one of the advantages of working with a top-notch publisher because they're printing.
Yeah,
so they're able to get a better deal on a price, so they can charge. You know, they say, well, this is the threshold of what people will spend on a book this size, and we can keep it at that because we're gonna, you know, we do the numbers enough to make that work. But for us,
and how is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Finish.
I was gonna say for like the Kickstarter one, you know, we did a couple of thousand. So we're not doing the same amount of volume as the big publisher. So our cost was way higher per book.
Yes, it was. Yeah. and I'll be honest, if I'm setting the price, I'm always setting it at the value that it's at. I'll be honest with you. Just like work. I ain't showing up, you know what I mean? I do a lot of free shows. I do a lot of, but when people ask me like, oh, they got a budget? Okay, I'll tell you what I'm worth. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what I'm worth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you gotta know.
How these people getting 200,000 a show for like 15 minutes, and I'm gonna be like, whatever you want to pay me. Oh, hell no. And that's to your audience. Like, know your worth, know what your value is, charge that. And
however,
that's right. Don't be scared.
Mike is free. Mike is free.
I have a huge however there. just to piggyback on that. There is wisdom in knowing when you're starting out that you can miss big opportunities.
True.
That's true.
If you're not willing to make some sort of concession. So I've certainly been involved in some amazing projects where they couldn't afford.
It's always a negotiation.
And what I say that with really good connections and continued work after that. So I am totally in agreement, but and it also has to do with circumstance because I could afford to do that.
Yeah.
I could be like, I don't need to like, you know, make a living doing it. But there is you should put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah. Of course. And negotiation. I think
negotiate.
And when I deal with like schools, especially nonprofits, I'm like, I'll work within your budget. You know what I'm saying? Like if y'all like a boys and girls club, if you're like, hey, this is what, you know, I've done shows for a meal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love it.
You might have to plane ticket. You know what I'm saying? Because you want me to come all the way across the country.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you're down the street, you know what I'm saying? I'm coming through. You know what I'm saying? For free. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's the blessing, man. A lot of people don't see it that way, but that's good because you have a passion. Both of you guys have a passion. I can see it. So that's why you're doing that, you know? You're not trying to ask for all that 500,000 this and that.
An interesting thing I'll say too is that sometimes too people hiring you don't really understand what things are worth because I've had people say, hey, I'd like to animate my music video. And I'm like, this is what animation costs. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? I was like, and that's not even like New York rates I'm charging. You know what I'm saying? Like because people don't, if they're just doing it for the first time, like how do you know what to pay somebody to draw a book? How do you know what to do? You know, so if there's a lot of conversations like that where you have to sort of educate people and be like, look, this is what it costs.
Yeah.
It took me like 2 months to do this, and this is what it costs. It's a very specific skill set that you're asking me to do. So there's a lot of complexity to it.
Yeah, there is. And at the end of the day, you know, as long as you're, you know, respectful and building with respect through the negotiation period, as we did with Dark Horse, you know what I mean, which is dope. Shout out to them, because they're a dream come true. I mean, we grew up reading comics. For me, it's Lone Wolf and Cub, or even 300, or the other Frank Miller, Sin City. You know what I mean? Like, they've put out just, and I could go on, right? Hellboy,
Conan, they did Conan,
Bucky the Vampire Slayer. Now they're doing Avatar: The Last.
So cool.
Yeah, like that's what we're on right now. You know what I mean? And
that's amazing. How did it feel? Like, what was the change from being independent and turning with the big boys? Like, what does that feel? Like, what was the difference?
First of all, it feels great, right? Because there's a validation, right? Like, hey, like you made it, you've arrived, right? You're like, hey, all this hard work has paid off, right? Which I think any artist or anyone who's working towards a goal, when you achieve that goal, it just feels good, and you should savor it. You know, I remember telling Mike, we have to go, because it's a process, right? And so there's not just that one day, you know, like, hey, they're gonna send a contract, you review the you know what I mean? So all of it, there's all these little minor things, but when you finally, like, the book, for me, it was the book arrived, right? You smell the book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm a book nerd like that. I'm a book geek. I'm like, it smells so good. You know what I mean? And everything's popping off the page. It comes out the way that you envision it. Amazing. And now you can tell people, like, not just my website, but like, yo, go to Walmart. Okay. Like, just like, it's easy.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Click the link.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, to know that more people will read this. And we've had young people just be so excited about that, to see, like, this look like, you know, someone at a Comic-Con be like, this looks like me. This looks like me. You know, I'm like,
you see their eyes probably blow up, like, you know, I can see it. I already can imagine it.
I can see it. Here I am. And then then they read it, and I'm like, I'm not disappointing. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we watch our people on TV, and you're like, come on, bro. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, on Walking Dead. Who is that dude, man? You ever watch Walking Dead? Not the comic.
Watched some of it.
The first season, there was this dude, T-Dog.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
T-Dog, come on, T-Dog. Why are you always slacking and lacking? You know what I'm saying? That ain't happening in our book. Like, our youth show up, like they show up in real life. You know what I'm saying? And
I love it.
Yeah. So that feels good to know that because of Dark Horse, this can go out further, and more kids will be inspired, and more kids can see themselves, and hopefully be like, yo, if Tem Blessed can do it, you can do it. You know, get back to it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because part of it is that, like, work towards your goal. If it's genuine, if it's authentic, if you're excited about it, then other people will see that and be like, yeah, I want to feel that energy, that vibe. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, blessed by this.
It's a ripple effect.
The ripple effect. And so that to me has been the best, kind of outcome in the Dark Horse collaboration.
That's amazing.
How about you, Mike?
I was going to say, what does it feel like when you do that? And I liken it to Pokemon when they evolve to the next form, and then you're just
Pokemon.
I mean, and there's a lot of that going on in my house because I have 2 kids. So, but there's that feeling of like, okay, you know, there's that excitement, and then there's some awareness all of a sudden that, okay, now I'm up here now. Like, I'm able to reach more people. People are going to see me. They might listen to me more, and so it sort of recalibrates your mentality of what you're doing in a really exciting way. And that's a very new feeling for me. Like, I had never felt that before, where, okay, now my voice is louder all of a sudden. You know,
I like that.
And what it does is that, you know, a lot of times people say, you know, make sure you have dreams beyond your dreams, because once you hit them, you have more to do. And so that's kind of the mentality of like, okay, well, now hey, book 2, what's that going to look like? How are we going to handle that? Where's that going to go?
I'm excited about that one now.
Yeah, well, me too. You know, and
And
it's
in the movie too, or the series.
And the
That's what I'm waiting
movie is
to.
great. Yeah, and it might even be, if it might be animated or it might be real life, like live action, which I'm
Oh,
like,
that'd be good too.
right?
That would
'Cause they
evolve.
did Jungle Book, right? They did Lion King,
Mhm.
so we already got those animals talking, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like
they
the
have those
technology
files. They
yeah,
have those
right,
files.
yeah, they already got them files.
I know you got bears and lions and tigers. So
Yeah.
Life of
Yeah.
Pi, just to call them up.
AI, you can just
Wow.
kind of like
Oh
prompt
yeah, AI is coming in swinging now. That's another topic. Some artists aren't too happy about AI, but
Yeah.
I like AI. As you see, I have an AI background.
Yeah.
I
Oh
created.
yeah, there you go. Right. So this. Yeah. Go ahead. No. Yeah. That's
I just
interesting.
love artificial intelligence. I know that there's some bad things about it, but I just feel like it can enhance the artist as well. So I just think there's some good things about it too.
And it's also
Yeah.
not going anywhere. So it's like you sort of kind of have to make peace with that in some way, you know?
Yeah, what's that movie that we saw where there was the AI?
The new one.
There was a sci-fi movie with Denzel Washington's son, and it was very interesting take.
Oh, I didn't see that yet. I gotta see that.
Yeah, it was interesting because you know how AI is usually like the Terminator, right? We have a
creator.
The creator. Creator is the name of the film, and not that it's the most amazing movie ever. It was good. I recommend it. You know, especially now that you can rent it or stream it. But what was interesting about that, because we're on the topic of AI, is first of all, like nothing at this point, in my opinion, is going to beat like the soul, the spirit, right? Like and the human intellect. Now AI can help enhance that, and at some point, if these beings become sentient, like we should not try to make war with them. You know what I'm saying? We should try to make peace with them.
Yes.
That's like anything. That's like anything in this world. Like, why make war with your neighbor? Why make war with another nation? It just doesn't make any sense for life to continue. You know what I'm saying? And so, if AI ever becomes sentient, hopefully they don't want to just destroy us or enslave us instantly.
Well,
hope not. We'll see. Look.
Have you ever seen this? There's this robot that got created years ago. It's like this 4-legged thing that walks.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And there's a movie, like a video that went out about it, and it was this lady, and she kicks it, and it's able to like get its footing back, and she kicks it again. And I remember watching that, and I felt bad for that thing.
Yeah,
I was like that thing's like.
That's like Black Mirror, episode of Black Mirror. They had that dog in there.
But that's what I'm saying. That's not even a sentient being. It's just something that reacts to something.
Yeah.
But even that to me felt unfair. So I can't imagine if that thing started talking to me. And all of a sudden it's like, it's like, well, okay, so you're alive. All right. Well, now I should just accept that and let's figure out what's going on here.
Well, you might forge a connection with it. I've seen a movie. I forgot it was called. The guy got a robot. He was older, and
you sort of
robot helped him.
Well, in our story, and you'll get to this part, not to like give anything away, because I wanted the sci-fi element there, and there is, an elder who is a not only a medicine man but a genius, like a tech genius in the story, and he builds an AI called Winnie. And because he's South African, Winnie is an acronym, but basically, not to give too much away, but the name came out of Nelson Mandela's wife, but just Winnie Mandela in her own right was an amazing revolutionary.
Yes.
So that's where that comes from. And so she's one of the allies. She's one of the forces that help the youth out along with animals and stuff. So we're going there, and we might as well, really be wise and inject our consciousness in the AI. That's where I'm at with it.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on here, man, and sharing this great knowledge and this book is amazing, and please support everybody. I'm gonna put the website in the show notes and everything. But before we go, I want to ask both of you, what's a saying or quote that you go by?
I have one I've been using a lot lately. How you fight is the fight. And the first time I heard it was by, this man back here, Malcolm, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, which, I look up to. And at the same level is Tell No Lies and Claim No Easy Victories. And that's by Milka Cabral, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I use this as an expression to also resist what's happening in the world, to show love and to show compassion and show that we can come together in unity, and all through not lying, being authentic, and also showing how hard this is, man. This is hard work, but guess what?
Yeah.
If you love it, you know what I mean? If you're like, this is the goal, to free the youth's mind, you know what I mean? And to have life and help have this world be this world that we know it could be, then do it, right? So yeah, Tell No Lies and Claim No Easy Victories, and how you fight.
I love that.
Jeez.
I like that. Snap, snap.
Yeah.
Leave the body, take the cannolis. So Godfather. Yeah, I don't think I have really a saying. I mean, I tend to, when I go to like sort of mantras, I definitely go back to like some old school like Bob Marley songs, like, I rule my destiny.
Oh yeah.
But I have ADD. I don't really retain those kinds of
what
things.
What do you be? You've been signing stuff though. That's pretty profound.
I write
funny.
Drink water. Drink water. That's what I tell people.
Well, hey, you know what? That's good. People need to drink water. It's a lot of dehydrated people out here, and a lot of people don't want to drink. They don't like drinking water, but you need to drink some water. Work out 3 times a day, 3 times a week, not 3 times a day unless you want to, but 3 times a week.
That's what we do. Me and Mike go to the gym. We call it Planeta Blu Fitness. I don't know if y'all have a Planet Fitness where y'all at.
Yeah,
we just know this is not sponsored by them. Maybe we should get a sponsorship.
Yeah, you gotta get a sponsor. Go ahead and write them and say, hey.
$10 a month.
Yeah, $10 a month. Yeah, let's go.
That'd be cool. Man, thanks for coming on here, both of y'all. I had such a great time speaking with you both. Amazing. And I just want to thank the audience for watching as well. And please subscribe, share this video. Please go and buy their book. And I want to thank my audience for supporting me this long. And be blessed and be safe out there, y'all. Peace.
Peace.